Now, is Patrick Mahomes the pick to win MVP?
No, he's not. He's not. I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes, and on Get Up, they tried to call him a game manager early on, and I didn't understand that, right? Patrick Mahomes is not a game manager, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be in a place this year where he's just going to have to make the right play to win the game, and the statistics aren't going to match up for him. When I come out of this game, I actually think, if healthy, right, that Justin Herbert is more of an MVP candidate than what Patrick Mahomes is going to be. Justin Herbert's going to have astronomical numbers. He's going to go absolutely nuts throughout the rest of this season as long as his ribs are okay. Think about what we saw last night. Marcus mentioned go and get a 3rd and 5 or go and get a 3rd and 3, and he was visibly wincing and just throws the ball away. Then on 4th and 1, he throws an absolute seed for a touchdown. This dude is ultimately talented. I thought he was doing the rope-a-dope and just wanted to make it dramatic after you saw that throw. And so when you look at him for the first 2 weeks and doing some of the things that we were enamored with Patrick Mahomes having done, and also having, to me, a better skill set around him, I think Justin Herbert is more a favorite for the MVP than Patrick Mahomes, because we got to remember, winning it that second time is tough. We want to give you the first one.
Well, it's a beautiful thing because RC's clearly up right now. I mean, very, very, very good analysis right there. I'm very proud of you, my brother. You up this morning. Way to go, because you're absolutely right, okay? It's about Justin Herbert, okay? And let me say something right now. Listen, to me, it's a 2-horse race. It's a 2-horse race between Josh Allen. It's going to be Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, okay? And I'm going to even throw Joe Burrow in there, because I think with the receiving crew that he's got available to him, I think he's going to be flinging that football, even though obviously he didn't start off on the right foot, losing game 1 against Pittsburgh. So I'm going to go with Allen and Herbert as the 2 primary MVP candidates. I think they'll be throwing the football. I think they'll be asked to do more than Patrick Mahomes is going to be asked to do, because like you pointed out, RC, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have to be a bit judicious. He's got to pick his spots, and you're going to go out there to win the game, but they're going to be utilizing a multitude of weapons around him to offset the loss of Tyreek Hill, which they obviously have done admirably thus far in the first 2 games of the season. It comes down to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, because Brandon Staley ain't taking that ball out of Justin Herbert's hands. Not with his height, not with that gunslinger of an arm. He's going to be throwing the football 45 to 50 times a game. We know this, and that's why he's going to be in the mix, because his numbers are going to be astronomical. RC's right.
So I'm with you guys both on Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, but I ain't gonna sit here and act like Patrick Mahomes ain't gonna work his way into this MVP conversation. If we watching Patrick Mahomes play, especially dynamic plays, and that win that he had against the Chargers may go a long way at the end of the year in the conversation. I think it's 4 dudes we need to be paying attention to for the MVP of this year: Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. I think those are the 4 names that we're going to see start rising and kind of separating themselves from the rest of the field when it comes to this MVP conversation. But if you want to go MVP right now, I would give it to Justin Herbert right now. If we were just through 2 weeks, based on what he did against the Las Vegas Raiders and what he did against KC, he looked like the best quarterback because he has more games. Josh Allen off 1 game, MVP. But right now, Justin Herbert would get my nod.
Well, you could say that. Let me add this last point.
No, you're good. You're good.
Your case is cool, Swagoo. I get where you're coming from. Let me tell you where it's going to hurt. If the Arizona Cardinals continue to look as bad as they did in Week 1 against Kansas City, then guess what? Not
question, because we've talked a lot about Buffalo here, right? About the Bills that look so good and everything else. Now, the Chiefs beat them in the playoffs each of the last 2 years. The Chiefs were the dominant performance against Arizona, and then a statement win last night. Does the AFC still run through Kansas City?
I think if you ask the Buffalo Bills, they would tell you yes, because they have lost in the playoffs to them the last 2 years. They know that's the hurdle that they have to overcome. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I think they will get over that hurdle and beat the Chiefs this year. I do believe that. But until they do, the Chiefs have earned the right to say, yes, it still runs through us. And they've played twice since Buffalo played, and they've looked outstanding. You can say maybe they didn't look as good as Buffalo, but in the first game they kind of did. But I think they're still the the big hurdle that whoever wants to win the AFC, be it the Bills, the Chargers, the Ravens, have to overcome. I would say the Bengals, but they did it.
Yeah, the Bengals looked real bad last week. We'll see. I mean, obviously, all these things are very early, but we're starting to see the signs. And, Brooke, one of the things that we're seeing is Mahomes doing it a little bit differently than we knew it would change a little bit with Tyreek Hill no longer there. But he looks very comfortable in what looks like a new offense.
He does. He completed a pass to 8 different Kansas City receivers last night. He might have completed a pass to me. I'm still not sure. And through 2 games, 11 different Chiefs have caught a pass. 6 different have caught a touchdown. He doesn't have his go-to guy with Tyreek Hill now in Miami. And I've said all offseason, I think he's going to be better without Tyreek Hill. The way that they've won the last 2 weeks shows that I was right, so I'm going to pat myself on the back for 2 weeks. I don't know if I'll keep doing that. But I think that just this makes them more dangerous because you don't know who's going to get the ball. You don't want to be a fantasy manager of any of these skill players because, like Mahomes said, he doesn't know who it's going to go to because they have so many diverse weapons.
He apologized for that before the season. How different does it look to you, RC? We know when you don't have the cheetah out there, things are going to change. How different does he look to you, and what does that mean for everybody else?
Honestly, Patrick Mahomes doesn't look different. I think Patrick Mahomes looks the same. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback that is still as explosive, still as dangerous as he's always been. Now, the way he's playing the game is different. Understanding that he has to take what the defense gives him right away, that there is no having to scramble so we can try to push every football down the field and get those big plays. And I think that's a step in his progression of understanding, of humility, right? Of allowing yourself to take ego out of the game and realize we don't have to be this every single snap. And if you go back to week 1, whether it was Sky Moore down the field, he missed Mecole Hardman a couple of times, there were those opportunities for big plays, and I think he'll start to make even more of those. But for right now, it's about making the right play for Patrick Mahomes, and then when he needs it, you see the play like we saw to Justin Watson, stepping up into the pocket, throwing on a run, completing an absolute dime for a touchdown against one of the better corners or best corners in the NFL.
And I have one more point that I want to make on this, and Ninko, I read through it a little bit earlier here, but I think we can put it on the screen. The schedule that the Chiefs have coming up is brutal. Look at this. These are just consecutive games. They've got the Colts, the Bucs, the Raiders, which is a tough game. Then they get that showdown with the Bills. Then they get San Francisco. So there is no rest for the weary in here. How many of those games, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many of those games is Kansas City going to win, Rob Ninkovich?
I mean, listen, 4? They can win
4 out of those 5?
4.
They win 4 out of those 5.
4 of the 5.
Then there's, look, the advantage Buffalo has over them, Ninko, and I know you're going to be upset with this. You're a Patriot. I'm a Jet fan. But the advantage Buffalo has over Kansas City is they may have a much easier path, 6 easier games inside the division than Kansas City does.
I mean, that makes sense. Of course, you look at the schedule, and then you look at Buffalo, and in the division, you look at what Kansas City has to face. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense to say that Buffalo's road is a little bit easier. But if Kansas City can make it through this schedule, they're going to be hardened and calloused, and they're going to be ready to roll in the playoffs, versus you go through a bunch of weak teams, and then you get in the playoffs, and then you get let down.